twin, Angel, that he had threatened to kill Nick's wife and unborn child. So basically, what the media is telling us is that Angel, the so-called twin of Arron, told Nick that Arron told her that he was basically wanting to kill Nick's wife and Nick's unborn child. Now that's just what the media is telling us, but I think all of us by now, we know what the real reason is for the restraining order. On September 19th, his twin sister, Arron Carter's twin sister, Angel, gets a restraining order against him as well. So Arron then gives up his assault rifles for some odd reason. He doesn't have to, it's not required, but he said that he just wanted to do it out of good faith, to show, I guess, his brother that, he wasn't a danger. Mind you, he still has weapons all over his house. He's got loaded pistols and rifles all over the house. It was just a few weeks earlier with Jane at the airport that he was saying how he should be able to own assault rifles. Now he's giving them up. Another example of the flip-flopping, the back and forth, the double talk. He basically handed over these assault rifles to the LA Sheriff's Department for safekeeping, is what he said, is what we're told. Regardless of the fact of whether or not there is any evidence that Arron threatened anyone's life, the media keeps running the headline that he has threatened to kill Nick, his wife, and his twin sister, Angel. We haven't seen any evidence. There's no evidence that Nick said any of these things. I personally don't think he did. Until I see a text message or hear some audio, I'm just going to assume this is more slander against Arron. This is another way to manipulate him, to control his narrative, and also to possibly get him committed or worse. On September 19th, Arron makes a shocking allegation against, and this is after the restraining order, he makes shocking allegations against his sister Leslie, against Nick, and against some backup dancers from his past. The allegations basically were that he was RAPE'd and abused by all of them. Nick, his sister, Leslie, who had passed away. Remember, Leslie is the sister that passed away from a drug overdose a few years ago. Also sort of an outspoken, loudmouth member of the family, which is interesting, considering the fact that she was OD'd. This is sort of where the story is as of right now, but I do think there's credibility to the allegations that he's made, at least against the backup dancers. And I'll show you a clip that supports that.
It wasn't Keith or Daryl, by the way. It was dancers before that. So that needs to be corrected. It was never them.
Arron, where's your goggles? On the bus in the back room.
So, in my mind, there's not really a way to justify that. You saw it, you know what it is that you saw. This is a video that's publicly available on YouTube, right? It's an old documentary about Arron Carter and about his life on tour. I think it's called like Up Close and Personal or Private and Personal or something. But there's just no way that you can justify that. Obviously, it's very weird that Jane Carter and Nick Carter would be in the same room with these backup dancers handling Arron the way that they did. Alright? And the allegations don't surprise me at all, considering, we're talking about one of the most elite, wealthy, sort of like pop icon families of this generation. This is, a pretty typical weekend for these sort of elite circles, right? But this is about where the story is as of right now. Of course, there's going to be more updates. Arron Carter came out with allegations that Nick had attacked, RAPE'd a 91-year-old woman. And as I said in the beginning, I think Arron is in danger. And that's another reason why I think he's live streaming as much as he is. Because if he's live
Correct.
on Instagram, maybe he thinks he's protected, maybe he thinks, that'll sort of keep people from maybe making an attempt on his life or something like that. But between the order of protection, the TMZ interviews, exposing himself on the doctors the way that he did, and also on his IG streams, and the constant welfare checks, it's obvious that something bad is about to go down. And I'm really worried for him. That's That's why I'm taking the time to make this video, and I want to raise
Appreciate you, bud. Don't worry,
There's a lot of like really good people out there that support Arron. And Arron, I don't think is a bad guy. I think deep down inside he is a good person. That's another reason I'm making this video, because I believe the industry is targeting him. Right? They're using the doctors. They're using TMZ. They're using his own weakness, right, and his sort of quest for fame and relevancy, where he's willing to go on national TV and say really, really stupid things about himself that could possibly get him committed, get his right to the Second Amendment taken away. And they, the industry, Nick, Jane, they're targeting him, and they want to silence Arron because he's gone rogue on Instagram. He's tweeting all kinds of new information out about the whole family that we never knew. He's helping to broadcast Nick's accusers and bring light to Nick's crimes. Arron has even said that he plans on writing a book. He said this several times. But at this point, I'm not sure what else he could be holding back. He's already published so much information. The beef between Arron and Nick, I think, has a lot less to do with the fake allegations against Arron, threatening to kill Nick's wife, as it does Arron reminding the world of Nick's predatory behavior, right? The real drama within the Carter family, which I'll make a whole separate video about that, and Arron coming out with the allegations that Nick not only RPE'd underage girls, but also may have abused Arron as well. So, could that have been what Arron was referring to in his Instagram live stream when he was talking about all the things that he has done for Nick?
I do my own thing. My brother hasn't helped me or done anything for me ever, really, except for when I was like, you guys don't even know what I've done for my brother. I've never even talked about publicly what I've done for Nick. Okay? So don't come up here with your bullshit. Alright.
It's possible. Maybe he was referring to kind of like covering for Nick, right? And helping Nick to cover his crimes. At this point, no matter what happens, I think Arron has sort of set himself up with his own statements. And I'm worried that it's only a matter of time before something happens to Arron that can't be undone.
Shut up.
Something bad happened to his sister Leslie.
Nope.
Something bad happened to Bob Carter.
Not happening.
He spilled over and had a heart attack.
Not taking any pills, nothing anymore, guys. Period, end of story. Stop taking
Let me know what you
everything
think in the comment section
a month ago.
down below. What do you think is going to happen
Everything.
next? Do you think Arron will be able to stay out of the mental hospital? And what do you think he was about to reveal to the world? And should he actually publish
It's not going to happen.
what would be in the book? Do you think he'll ever publish the book? Or is this just another one of Arron's daily pathological lies for attention and relevancy? I'd love to hear back from you, but that's the overall message, right, in this video, is that Arron is in trouble, he's in danger, the industry is targeting him, and Nick, Jane, the industry, TMZ, they want to silence Arron Carter, because he probably has a lot of information, possibly, that he hasn't released yet. And also, the beef between Arron and Nick, I don't think it's so much about what Arron's doing, I think it's about what Nick has been doing, and they don't want that information out, because that's going to affect Nick's career, the Backstreet Boys. We're talking about a lot of stuff here. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you want to support this investigative journalist content, please do at paypal.me/Charles Marlowe, or feel free to make a monthly pledge on Patreon. We also have the subscribe star, or become a member on this channel. So we definitely have some options there if you want to support in that way. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. CNC Broadcasting back with another
Look at this.
video. So today we have a
I can start in this
follow-up
one.
to the last Arron Carter video that I did, entitled "Why Arron Carter is in Danger." I want to thank everybody just for watching the video. It's got really an amazing response. I was not expecting the video to be as popular as it is, and a lot of people people have been watching. A lot of people have been.
Yes, I support autism.
And a lot
Absolutely.
of people have expressed that they wanted a follow-up, right? We've got other news that has been breaking, other developments within the Arron Carter story. We've got the Medusa tattoo. We've got more Instagram live streams, more mainstream media slander. In this video, what I want to cover are a few different things, okay? Number one, Arron Carter did make the rounds on the podcast circuit, okay? So he was on the No Jumper podcast and the Impulsive Logan Paul's podcast. I've got a bunch of clips that we're going to look at and analyze, and we'll talk about it. Also, Arron Carter's back and forth, his double talk, right? In my last video, I talked about this, how it almost appears as if he's pathologically lying to everyone on a daily basis at this point. Well, I've sort of reevaluated that opinion that I put out there, and I want to consider another alternative reason for this Arron Carter double talk. And it's possible that Arron Carter might be more calculating than some of us originally thought. And I will explain later on in this video why I say that. Number three, we've got to talk about the Medusa tattoo, okay? If you guys haven't seen it yet, Arron Carter got a face tattoo, right? A Medusa on his face. It's a huge tattoo, very shocking, shocked the mainstream media, shocked the alternative media, and there's been a lot of commentary, but not the commentary that I'm going to offer. So we're going to look at the tattoo and how it relates to something that he said on the No Jumper podcast when he was talking about troll mythology, right? Turning people into stone. We're going to get into all the details there. And then the fourth thing we'll cover in this video is the Pyro single drama, right? What Pyro is actually about. Is it threatening Nick, or is it...
No, it's my ex-girlfriend.
And the reason why he pulled it down. He's been giving a couple different versions.
Pulled it down, Sony didn't. They owe me money.
And we're going to talk about all the drama surrounding his latest release. So let's start with the podcasts that he was featured on. We'll start with the No Jumper podcast, actually. I have a couple of cringy moments that I do want to look at. A few moments that some people may have actually missed, kind of like subtler moments in the podcast, some exchanges between him and his security guards. We're just going to go over it and analyze it a little bit. In case you didn't watch the podcast, because a lot of people probably will just skip it because it's kind of long. I watched it for you, so you don't have to. So the cringiest moment in this No Jumper podcast where he's being interviewed by Adam22, the cringiest moment was probably when he started singing Pyro, his latest single. And we'll talk more, as I said, about Pyro and the meaning behind the song. But just check out this next clip, because the eye contact was so cringy. He wasn't even looking at the camera. He wasn't looking at us. But he was looking at Adam22 and singing this Pyro song, and then he started rapping the second verse. Ugh! The cringe! Check this out.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you the words. It says, I've got my mind right, you walk a fine line.
I couldn't sing that.
I say I'm just fine, but you're messy, I need more time. We slanging low blows, I skip the high road. Life has a pyro, I'm
What's a sodomite?
down. I'm watching it all burn down. Down. All the fire trucks and the ambulance, they can see the smoke when I light it up. We can't feel the flames till it's hot enough. I'm a pyro, don't wanna let go. She know what I know. Gaslight and explode, but then she'll put the fire out. I'm stuck in this place, so hot the glass breaks.
Yeah.
How much can we take before we watch it all burn down? You feel me? So I'm saying, I've got my mind right. Nick, you walk a fine line. I say I'm just fine, but you all say I need more time. We slanging low blows. I skip the high road. Life has a pyro. I'm gonna watch it all burn down.
So there you have it. Let me know what you guys think about that moment in the comment section down below. Were you just a little uncomfortable? I'll admit, I was kind of uncomfortable watching that. But
I really love this guy.
Also, make sure to give this video a big fat like, and it would be really cool if you shared it with your friends. So around the same time that he starts breaking out into song, he mentions something about why he took the song down.
You know what all the fans started saying, and Nick got all of his fans to say?
They took it as a threat.
No, they took it as a threat, and they said they were trying to say it got pulled down because of a threat. But I actually wrote that song about my ex-girlfriend.
Really?
I'm the one who pulled Pyro to everybody, because all my fans are asking, where's Pyro? Where's Pyro? Well, guess what? I hold it because Sony Records and Steve Zapp ripped me off and I'm suing them.
Really?
Yeah.
So just this one song you pulled, or what?
Pyro.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm gonna pull, and I'm gonna get the whole album Love back.
And you're upset because you didn't get credited as the...
No, I'm upset because Steve Zapp wouldn't sign contracts with me before this deal.
Okay.
All right? And I kept telling him, let's sign contracts, because it was going on. I have my own record label, Rakish Records.
What he said to Adam 22 on the No Jumper podcast was that Steve Zapp actually owes him $300,000 and that there were no
That's not Steve.
signed before the release of his single, and so that's one of the reasons he took it down. But what's interesting about that statement that he makes towards Adam 22 is it is in direct conflict with an earlier statement that he made just days before, on September 22nd, the day he pulled the single down. He had tweeted out that actually he's the one that owes Steve Zapp and also Andrew Weber money. So we're not exactly sure what is the truth here. He's given two different versions of the story, but I will let you guys know on the Impulsive podcast, he actually asks Logan Paul to bring up his Instagram account where he has the same exact note that he shared on his Twitter, talking about how he actually is the one that owes Steve Zapp monies for helping him with the Spotify account, putting the single, releasing it on Spotify, some other different legal contract issues. Which makes me think that maybe Aaron Carter's not in control of his Spotify, maybe he's not in control of the distribution of his music. We do know that he started a new YouTube channel entitled Aaron Carter.
Yes.
It's like a non-Vivo channel, and it has, the last time I checked, it has about 3.4 thousand subscribers. We live in a world today where I literally have more subscribers than Aaron Carter does. Right? For now I win. Let me know in the comments how long do you think it's going to take for Aaron Carter to surpass me in subs. But we're not sure if he's the one that owes Steve Zapp money or the producer's money. We're not sure if he's under contract. We're not sure if maybe they owe him money. But for whatever reason, he did take the single down, and he addressed this in the No Jumper podcast. He told No Jumper that Bob Carter, his quote-unquote father, okay, and for the rest of this video, I will not be referring to Bob Carter as Aaron Carter's father. Like I said in my last video, how I didn't refer to Jane Carter as Aaron Carter's mother, I'll have to do a whole separate video explaining why and sort of exposing the fake manufactured family structure of the Carter family. But what he told No Jumper is that Bob Carter, who does still claim to be his father, had died mysteriously. He said it was a very, very mysterious death. It sort of echoes something that we'll look at in a few minutes when looking at the Logan Paul podcast.
So my dad sold the estate. I told him to get out of New York, and then he went to Florida in a tour bus. That was mine, right? And then he died down there mysteriously and was cremated the next day.
So as I said, he does say something similar on Impulsive, and we'll take a look at that in a few minutes. I think these are very interesting and relevant statements, considering that when Bob Carter died, and this was a couple years ago, I think back in 2017, he was cremated immediately, like I think the very next day.
And then he died down there mysteriously and was cremated the next day.
And at the time, Nick and Aaron had tried to get a second autopsy done. They wanted a second opinion, right? And they reported in the media that the reason Nick and Aaron wanted this autopsy on Bob was because they wanted to maybe look for heart conditions or genetic issues that maybe he would be predisposed to. But I think it's probably more likely that they wanted to find out if he had been, if there was some foul play involved in Bob Carter's death. That's just my hunch, okay? And I'll let you guys know when I'm asserting my opinion in here. I am going to back up everything I say in this video with, footage, with clips, with media headlines. I'm going to have a lot of evidence that I'm going to use to create this, this narrative, because that's what we're doing over here. But I will let you guys know when I'm asserting my opinion, and I'll let you know when it's, when it's actually a fact versus my opinion. So another really good moment on the No Jumper podcast was when he tried to give Adam 22 the love necklace, which possibly he may have actually promised to an autistic girl, a fan of his, on one of his Instagram live streams. Now, that's
she's getting a different necklace.
To this information that I got from a comment underneath a re-upload of one of his Instagram live streams. on the Sugar Pixels channel. Shout out to Sugar Pixels. This person basically uploads all of Aaron Carter's Instagram live streams to YouTube so we get to see them after the fact. And so he said on an Instagram live stream, allegedly, that he told this autistic girl, this fan, that he was going to give her the necklace. I can't find the clip, but supposedly it's out there. And this comment basically says that, he said on an Instagram live stream that the autistic girl was calling up his phone and harassing him. Remember, this is after he leaked his phone number so he could connect with fans during the release of his single. But if he was one to make a false promise like this to somebody in the moment, especially somebody with special needs or autism, and he leaked his own phone number, then, he probably deserves the hassle, not gonna lie. But he was saying that this, and I have seen the clip where he talks about this girl's harassing him and won't stop calling his phone. Well, according to this comment, it's because he promised her the love necklace. Adam22, I believe, what I heard was that he gave the love necklace back to Aaron Carter after...
No, he didn't give it back to me, and that's not the necklace. The necklace is over
carats on it. It's probably a very, very expensive piece. Another awkward moment was when he was basically asked to introduce his security guards. Take a look at this.
Introduce us to your friend here, your security.
Hey, I'll show you.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd you meet Aaron?
So stupid. That's the one I'm gonna send to Cody. She knows that. Stop trying to make nothing out of nothing. Fuck. You guys alright?
Yeah, basically, no, he pointed at me just like that. He was like, follow my Instagram, hit me up, and I got you with the job.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay, cool. And I was already leaving Best Buy at that point because...
That's why I was a security right
This
there.
is even more 6'9"-ish.
Yeah. Come on, bro.
That's what I said. What are your duties?
So I don't know why he had to say that,
Booty hole.
friend,
Where's Booty hole?
He could have just skipped that line and just went on to say, well, this is my security, so-and-so, he's doing a really good job. But he answers the question, Adam22's question is this, who's your friend here? And he says, oh, this isn't my friend.
Introduce us to your friend here, your security.
He's not my friend.
Right, like we have to know that the security is not his friend. He's paying these people, right? He really wants to make sure you
Correct.
know that. Now, the next clip that I want to share with you guys, in this next clip, I believe we do get a glimpse into what it would actually be like to work for Aaron Carter. And a lot of people in the comments underneath No Jumpers podcast were basically saying that he treats the security like animals, and this clip does not help to dispel those.
Talk to all their moms and their parents, and okay.
It's not snapping.
Anytime they ask me what talk to your family, I was always cool with them. So still cool with them.
My neck is so thick.
I'm
So as you can see, he's just sort of
neck is so thick.
kind of talking down to his security. He says, watch yourself, don't make me trip. And then the guy responds, and he said, what'd you say? It wasn't a very flattering moment, I don't think, for his image. Now, I'm not judging him for this. He did say in the podcast that he deserves to be a little bit narcissistic, that he has earned that. But for all we know, he could be a little Kabbalah Prince tyrant to work for. But nevertheless, there was another sketchy moment where he was basically showing all the jewelry that he has bought for his security.
Come here real quick. Have you seen that?
Absolutely.
Where'd you get that cost?
Oh shit, so you keep the whole team dripped up too, huh?
Absolutely.
Yep.
So maybe
still has it too.
But I was very, very uncomfortable watching that exchange. And here's another dick move by Aaron Carter where he actually moves the mic away from the security guard that was sitting right next to him. And then he goes on to make fun of him for not being close enough to the mic, right? He's like, taunting and trolling this dude. Just take a look at this clip. Let me know what you think.
She talks about this, you got big old booty. This
2 minutes later.
because I collect and buy and trade and sell and make. Do I not, guys? Talking to Mike. Huh? I can't hear you. What'd you say?
He does all that, yeah.
Does all what?
So, I don't know. To me, it just looks look like he was just...
I don't think he's misogynist. I think he's being honest.
And then there's this weird moment where he actually was, like, making out with the mic.
Go to tunesaudio.com. You can get it.
Wait, my security guard said what?
I'm not sure how to explain that.
Let them wear your chains only when they work for you, bro. LMG for life.
A beat that he made,
Really?
that he likes. I'm not exactly sure.
What? That's weird.
Adam said that it had like Caribbean vibes, but you can tell that the dude, the security guy sitting next to him, is really tired of this, right? I don't know if he's getting sick of Aaron Carter, or if he's just really sick of the beat. But look at this clip. You can see him shaking his head like, oh no, I can't believe he's playing this again.
Really? Oh, okay. Alright. Awesome.
And then look at this clip.
You know what's been happening? Yo, tell him what's been happening, dog.
I mean,
Tell him, no, tell him. We don't know jumper, alright?
Air it out.
Follow it out.
yeah,
Man, I'm about to tell what it really is on that.
No.
So stupid.
Put it in a time and an accurate from beginning to end, beginning, middle, and end to him. Because I can't really be speaking too much about this fucking shit. Because they're gonna use everything they can against me to try to make me look like I'm fucking crazy.
Kids in my fourth grade class right here like that.
I already had surrendered my firearms.
Don't be
To
rude.
me, it looks like in that moment, that guy is just so tired. Can you imagine working for Aaron Carter and playing the same beats over and over again? Because, you know, to make a beat, you've got to listen to repetition. You've got to listen to these really repetitive loops over and over again, and you're mixing them and listening to them constantly. You know, if you're not into music, right, it must be a nightmare to work for this guy. But granted, I have seen both security in other Instagram videos, even all the way up until yesterday. So apparently they're still working for him, right? At $700 a day, and you're getting, you know, all iced out and shit. Doesn't sound like a bad.
Hey, Mario.
And he found those guys at Best.
Mario!
Introduce us to your friend here. Your security, you
It's
said?
not my friend.
yeah, security.
Oh, you know you're...
Security for yeah.
You know what it is. Wait.
How'd you get involved?
He had me.
What's good, bro? That's my security guard pin right there. No, he was trying to say you were shaking your head because I play the same beats all the time.
Just like that.
Which I do.
Follow my Instagram, hit me up, and I got you with the job.
The way that they told the story, you know,
I was trying to say I was like degrading you guys.
his information and said
And that you guys only wear your chains
and hired them for security.
when you work
There's a
or
little
something.
bit
I don't
of
know.
information there on where the security guards came from. So to sum up the criticism that he got on the No Jumper from the No Jumper viewers, they basically said that Arron wants validation so bad, and it seems like he sort of chooses this hip hop identity, this sort of bossed up persona, as a way to rebuild his confidence. A lot of the viewers kind of felt like his slang doesn't sound natural, and that he basically had hired two professional dick riders to make it look like he was, you know, more powerful, to make himself seem
No, don't be rude.
The alternative to that opinion, I would say, is that, you know, maybe he's just letting the cabal know that he has some sort of protection from a possible assassination attempt. Maybe like a buffer. You know, guys outside of the cabal that he pays very, very well and make sure that he's got them all iced out with diamonds and stuff. And also with the live streams as well, which we'll talk about. He's basically live streaming 24/7 now, right? These are Aaron Carter IRLs. It could be like an insurance policy, right? Kind of a buffer to keep any possible assassination attempts away. Again, just some of my analysis, some of the things that I've sort of observed.
No, good, Nick. I got my guys still, Nick Raj.
Security guards.
I still got my guys,
Real
always.
quick before we leave the No Jumper podcast, just a
just
quick
been
list
chilling
of
right
some
now.
of the crazy boasts that Aaron Carter made to Adam 22. He was building 25 homes, supposedly. He's training for the bar. He was raped by his sister. He drank from the age of 10. He was flexing his stupid necklaces. He has a jewelry line. He makes bleached hoodies. He, you know, no one knows who the fuck I am, he says. No one knows who I am, he says. Also,
They don't.
he's a very strong and powerful person. He
I have my
said
glasses
he's
on.
very powerful and very rich. And Adam 22 kind of laughed when he said that. He's not bipolar, even though on the doctors, it looked like he admitted that he was bipolar, which we're going to have to talk about that too, because he has now stated that the doctors, I think he actually said this on Logan Paul's podcast, which we'll talk about in a moment, how the doctors, he was actually talking about Leslie's diagnoses, and the doctors chopped it up to make it look like he was talking about his own diagnoses, which I don't put it past the doctor. The doctors, TMZ, all these media outlets, they are not his friend. So I could definitely see them doing something like that to make Aaron Carter seem, more crazy. Basically tricking him into talking about Leslie to try to, indict him with mental health diagnoses that he doesn't actually have. And he also said he's the only teeny bopper that's still relevant, and he had 5 cars at the age of 15.
True.
That's what he said. But what if he's not actually lying? Okay, this is where I want to kind of get into this alternative opinion. Because when I made my first video, I basically was of the opinion that, he was kind of telling tales out of school, that he was lying. We just couldn't keep up with all of that. But what if it's possible, right? What if he's taunting the cabal? And I'll explain to you what I mean by that. What if he's basically daring them to come forward and basically challenge anything that he says publicly, be it his income or his popularity, etc.
Challenge it.
By doing so, right, if they were to take the cabal, if the media, if his family, the Carter family, were to take the bait at his baiting of them, it may give him the chance to then publicly expose more and more of the secrets. Right? Aaron Carter's been letting a lot of information out on his Twitter, to the paparazzi. He's been talking a lot on his Instagram live streams. But I think there's a lot more that he is going to come forward with eventually. At that point, the public will then they'll say to the Carters, they'll be like, well, why are you only challenging and disproving what Arron is saying about his success and his income? Why are you not challenging and or trying to disprove what he's also been publicly stating about the sexual abuse? Right? Probably the satanic ritualistic abuse that he has endured over his the course of his childhood. So the Carters, Nick, Angel, Jane, etc., they know this is Aaron Carter's strategy. Now, this is my opinion. I wouldn't be reporting this if I didn't, with these recent developments, if I didn't actually believe this. I think they know that this is his strategy that Arron is using, because Arron honestly has studied law to some certain extent, right? He's been involved in these industries, which there's a lot of legality issues involved in music or in reality TV shows, signing of contracts. It's probably, he's been around lawyers and attorneys, and I think he does know exactly what he can and cannot say, legally speaking. And he's basically waiting for them to respond, to take the bait and respond to any of his, public statements, even the exaggeration that he openly makes about his current career. So if the Carters do respond to anything that he says about himself, they will eventually also be expected to respond to what he's been publicly stating about them and about the abuses that they have practiced, which is a can of worms the Carters definitely do not want opened. It's likely that Arron will continue making outrageous comments. I don't think we've seen the end of this about himself, also while stating clear truths about his brother, his mother, his twin, right? Until he is able to spill the beans entirely on the Carters. His exaggerations of his success is a challenge to his family to stop hiding and to respond to something, to anything that he says. Because once they do respond, he plans to open a Pandora's box and spill it all. Like when he told No Jumper, "I'm very rich and very powerful." Could that have been a direct message to the cabal, letting them know that, he's going to expose them? Now let's move over quickly to the Logan Paul podcast and look at a few moments from that one as well. Not quite as cringeworthy as the Adam 22 podcast, but definitely some good moments. The first thing that I want to say in this segment of the video is that he mentions God and church a few times, and I think we should definitely pay attention to this.
I believe in God, and I go to church, and I believe that forgiveness is the reason why Jesus died on the cross for our sin.
The cabal hates God. And if Arron is rebelling against the cabal and against their satanic order, then accepting Jesus into his heart and accepting God into his heart and his life, that would be a good place to start rebelling. Logan asks Arron about the restraining orders and why they were filed against him. Arron talks about how the restraining orders were to attempt to silence him from exposing Nick. Arron then claims that Nick possibly was the one who called the police for welfare checks right as Arron was live streaming with one of Nick's alleged victims, Melissa Schumann.
The police showed up to my house to interrupt the call. Nick called and a welfare check on me to interrupt the call.
We covered this live stream in my last video where he basically guested. Instagram has a guesting feature with their live streams. He guested with Melissa Schumann and rebroadcasted the allegations that she had brought up against Nick Carter a couple of years back. The allegations were never, they never went forward in court because they had reached the statute of limitations. They were very, it was an older incident. But when it comes to Nick and all the allegations against him, which I'm going to have to make a whole nother video about that, I think there's enough out there now to really, to add some sort of validity to this, right? I don't think these allegations are just coming out of nowhere. Then Aaron Carter says something shocking to Logan Paul.
I can't sit back and watch my supposed brother who I've tried to seek validation for.
Did you hear that?
My supposed brother.
Did you catch that?
My supposed brother who I've tried to seek validation for, be a Harvey Weinstein.
My supposed brother is a Harvey Weinstein, right? And it's statements like this that really make me wonder what is actually going on with the Carter family structure. Is it manufactured? Did they lie to us about certain relationships? I don't want to get into it in this video. I've been talking about it in a lot of my live streams. I think we have been lied to. I don't think things are as they told us they were. But that's language that he used. My supposed brother is a Harvey Weinstein. Then we get another live rendition of Pyro on the Impulsive podcast. And not quite as cringy as with No Jumper, but take a look.
I got my mind right. You walk a fine line. I say I'm just fine, but you all say I need more time. We slang in low blows. I skip the high road.
So it's a diss track.
Life as a pyro, I'ma watch it all burn down. All the fire trucks and the ambulance, all the welfare checks, all this shit. They can see the smoke when I light it up. I smoke weed. We can't feel the flames till it's hot enough. I'm a pyro. I don't want to be in a relationship anymore.
Still just as awkward. But Aaron talks about how the media tried saying Pyro was a threat to Nick.
Nope.
Right, the lyrics and stuff. He claims the song is about his ex-girlfriend, to Logan Paul. I think the song is probably a message to the cabal, right? A coded message to the cabal. When talking about why it was actually pulled, he goes back on what he said on the No Jumper podcast when he was talking about how Steve Zapp and Andrew Weber owe him hundreds of thousands of dollars.
No, Andrew Weber doesn't. He's a mixer.
He asked Logan to pull up the Instagram post.
Let me close
Does this look familiar? We just looked at this a few minutes ago when fact-checking his statements on No Jumper about Steve Zapp owing him money. This is the same note that he posted onto his Twitter the day he took the single down. So this is just another instance of this Aaron Carter double talk, right? This is like a major theme now. The double talk, the confusion, and what could be interpreted as pathological lying. I think we should be open to the possibility that all of this is more calculating than any of us really originally thought. Maybe there is a reason for the double talk, right? Just trying to get the Carter family, the media, the cabal to respond to something that he says, to then open up a Pandora's box with the public and start releasing more information. It's like a challenge to the cabal, to the MSM, to TMZ, right? Kind of like, hey Carters, why are you only challenging and disproving what Aaron is saying about his success and income? Why are you not challenging or trying to disprove what he has been publicly stating about the sexual abuse? On Logan Paul's Impulsive, Aaron also goes on to open up about how he lost his virginity at 11 years old to a multi-culty hoe.
When were you sexually active?
11 years old, and my oldest sister DJ's best friend, who's a Filipino girl named Jasmine. She's 19, she's a big old bitch.
You were 11?
Yeah.
That's young.
Hey,
That's young.
it worked. It was working.
Then a really awkward testimony about Well, I'll just play the clip.
The day Nick actually started hating me is because we were drunk one time on the Disney cruise ship, and we go to a urinal to each other. He goes, "Hey, cheating." And I was like, "What?" We were like, "Stupid." He puts our dicks up next to each other after we peed, and my dick was like 3 times bigger than his, and he was like,
And do you think, was that the catalyst?
Ever since then, never been the same.
Big bro hates you 'cause you got a bigger dick.
I'm not even sure what to say about that. It's definitely a little disturbing. I also want to note that Arron did mention again about believing in God, and what he had said is that they asked him like what religion he was, and he said Catholic. What's interesting about that is a lot of Latinos, most Latinos, happen to be Catholic culturally, religiously, and this will really pay attention to that point, to kind of take note of what I just said there, because that's going to be very relevant in the video that I do exposing the manufactured family structure of the Carters. Now before we go on, make sure to give this video a like, comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys. It'd be really cool if you could share the video out. It really does help. Follow me on some of my alternative social media platforms. The links for everything are in the description below, as well as the links for my PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar. If you do want to support the content financially, please do at paypal.me/Charles Marlowe. You can also subscribe monthly on Patreon. You can become a member of this channel, or check out the Subscribestar. Like I said, the links are in the description below. Your support is greatly appreciated. So let's jump to September 29th. Just a few days after he made the rounds on the podcast circuit, Arron is greeted at the local Lancaster Guitar Center by paparazzi. There's about 3 or 4 of them out there. And he tells the paparazzi that he is exposing Nick as a serial rapist. And he describes himself as a massive silence breaker.
They come in my house 3-4 times a day. They call the cops on me all the time.
Oh, wow.
All the documents because I'm exposing Nick for being a serial rapist.
About that, have you talked to your father? Have you reached out to
I
him?
can't speak about him at all legally.
Oh, wow.
They're trying to trap me and basically make me look like I'm crazy and all this stuff. And it's just like a conspiracy just because I'm a massive silent breaker in this situation.
Note that he is now sporting the Medusa tattoo, the face tat. It's supposed to be, I guess, Rihanna as Medusa, and we'll explore more of the symbology behind the tattoo in a few minutes. But he then says that there is a big conspiracy with his twin and his brother, and that there's a major cover-up.
Oh,
They're trying to trap me and basically make me look like I'm crazy and all this stuff. And, it's just like a conspiracy just because I'm a massive silent breaker in this situation.
Right.
And I'm not going to stop, and I can't be silenced. There is a conspiracy going on behind my family, my twin sister, and my brother, that is a cover-up, guys. So if you guys aren't going to start waking up to it, stop showing up on my fucking house.
Now I know it's kind of hard to hear because they're live streaming and he's facing away from the phone, but perhaps he's talking about the abuse that he has exposed on his Twitter, making claims about Leslie and Nick, and also his backup dancers.
I told you I could pick you up one. That?
Arron, where's your goggles?
On the bus in the back room.
But perhaps there is more to his story that he is yet to tell. He says to the paparazzi that he is the biggest thing right now in pop, in music, and that he is living his best life.
And then when I started living my realest life, I blow up, and because I'm real, I came back, I made my own music, I just dropped a song called Sensational Love. It's incredible. I made a music video for it, I produced all the music, so
Arron Huffington, that's a really awful thing to say.
all I do,
The fuck on motherfucking Instagram, dumb bitch.
all I ever do.
We'll be blocking that bitch.
I know right now, I'm the biggest thing right now. In pop and hip hop and in the industry. I am. It's undeniable. You cannot deny it. There's 3 of you guys here, man, in front of us.
This is the point in the storyline where I want to make note of the possibility, again, that he's baiting the media, he's baiting the cabal, He's baiting them to go after him, to question him, to force him to expose more of the truth. Hypothetically, what if he was able to bait Nick or his sister or someone else into suing him? Alright, just hypothetically, imagine if that happened. Well then, all of this information, it becomes more than just rants posted to his Twitter feed or that he makes in his IG streams. The allegations, the conspiracies, the truth now become a part of the public record. And with the possibility of criminal charges being brought up against Nick or other members of the music industry cabal. Now take a look at this next clip and look what he does with his hands.
You know,
it's quick, and I know he's facing away from us, but did you notice how he keeps flashing the shh sign, puts his index finger up to his lip, and he poses for the paparazzi and flashes that symbol. That's also the pose that he did for the no jumper thumbnail. And this is part of the strategy that I keep talking about in this video. He's taunting Nick, he's taunting the industry, because he probably hasn't come forward with the entire truth yet. He talks more about the Medusa tattoo to the paparazzi and how it's inspired by Rihanna's Versace Medusa, whatever that means. Then he says the tat is going to be a surprise for Jane Carter for when she gets out of rehab.
You got inspired by Rihanna?
Rihanna, yeah, a little bit, yeah. And Versace, so when she gets out, it's a surprise for her.
Arron is literally documenting everything, and he is just waiting for the response from the Carters or the cabal. So, as a little side note, and some tea, a little bit of tea for you guys, about the paparazzi encounter. The Sugar Pixels channel, who I've mentioned earlier, the channel where she uploads all of the Instagram live streams to her YouTube channel so that we can all enjoy over here on this platform. Well, she left a comment that she actually pinned underneath the uploaded video where he's meeting the paparazzi at Guitar Center. And she basically said that she thinks that Arron called the paparazzi himself and set it up. Also maybe that the Australian model that he was hanging out with the night before was the one possibly holding the phone.
There's three of you guys who are hanging in front of Guitar Center. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Who's the Pixels? I'll have to find out who Sugar Pixels is.
Relevant enough that I wanted to
I'll do that pretty quick.
This video, but let me know what you guys think. Do you think Arron Carter does call the paparazzi and let them know where he's going to be at what time to sort of stage?
What do you guys? What do you think?
Events where he then gets
what do you
a
think?
Photo taken. It's like a photo op and a quick little Q&A. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and don't forget to like. So no matter what happens to him, Arron is doing everything that he can to bring attention to and to document everything that he wants broadcast to the world. So now we come to the segment where we have to talk about the Medusa tattoo. I've even gotten requests to do specific videos just on the tattoo. And you could, because there's a lot of meaning behind this. Medusa, let's start there. Who is Medusa? The new face tat that Arron just got is sort of his way of stating that he is not afraid to face the cabal. It's connected to Versace, think pedophile networks. It's connected to Rihanna, Jay-Z, Beyonce, think the Satanists. These people were all targets of the cabal, and the cabal had abused them as well. But unlike Arron, they were not willing to
She's an Austrian model.
of their trauma. And so they made the decision to join the dark side, so to speak, and they were transformed into monsters. Now Medusa, according to ancient Greek mythology, she's a false goddess who was actually a rape victim herself. Due to not wanting to face the facts of her sexual abuse, she became transformed into a terrifying monster who turned people into stone, who were exposed to her face. In my opinion, Arron is telling these awful people to just face the facts, to also be willing to let him confront them face to face. Also note that how the myth goes is Medusa turns people into stone. Well, where have we sort of heard that kind of language before in context with the Arron Carter drama? On the No Jumper podcast, that very first few moments when he started talking about troll mythology.
If you look at Wikipedia right now and troll mythology, I mean, it literally look, let me explain something to you. Let me show you how it works. Troll mythology.
What is troll mythology? I've never heard that term.
Alright, so I'm gonna explain it to you. A troll is a class of being in Norse mythology and Scandinavian folklore. In old Norse sources, being described as trolls dwell in isolated rocks, mountains, or caves, living together in small family units and are rarely helpful to human beings. Right? Trolls. Right, we're talking about internet trolls. Later in Scandinavian folklore, trolls became beings in their own right, where they live far from human habitation, are not Christianized, and are considered dangerous to human beings. Depending on the source, their appearance varies greatly. Trolls may be ugly and slow-witted, or look and behave exactly like human beings with no particularly grotesque characteristics about them. Trolls are sometimes associated with particular landmarks, which at times may be explained as formed from a troll exposed to sunlight. Trolls are depicted in a variety of media in modern popular culture.
But you know, when we call people trolls, like people in the YouTube comments trolls, we're not calling them actual trolls. Like, we don't think that they grew up under a bridge or whatever.
No, they grew up under a bridge, and they're fucking, they're scared of the light. And then when I blast them on Instagram, and I'm like, someone says a comment, I go live. I say, go live with me and talk to me, and they always decline, or they come on, and they're in the dark. And trolls hide in the dark. And when they're exposed to sunlight, the troll mythology is that they turn into stone. So I turned them into fucking stone.
Now, a lot of people said he was crazy. They were like, oh, he's talking about troll mythology. I'm not going to be able to get through this this interview. Adam22 was kind of, roasting him and trolling him a little bit about this. But the turning them to stone, right? Is he just talking about the internet trolls? I don't think so. I think he could be talking about facing the cabal, facing the satanic order that abused him, facing Nick, and also taking something from them, right? Maybe turning trolls into stone or turning people into stone is like used as a symbol, right? Maybe turning trolls into stone using the light could symbolize taking the lies out of the dark and exposing the truth. That rant about trolls is definitely related to his Medusa tattoo. Obviously, Arron has grown up in these weird satanic cults that are all about the old gods and myths and the Satanism, the magic. So when I sort of reflect on all the double talk and the apparent pathological lies that Arron tells on a daily basis, I'm sort of forced now to reflect on that and wonder if Arron is actually trolling the cabal, the satanic elites. Much like POTUS Trump seems to like to do whenever he's trolling the Dems, Aaron Carter likes to play dumb when he's trolling the demon worshippers. Here are just some links in the chain. Medusa connected to Rihanna. Rihanna is the protege of Jay-Z. Jay-Z is the husband of Beyonce. Beyonce's first pregnancy suffered the scandal of a moon bump gate. Nick and Arron also both know that someone close to them had basically faked a pregnancy as well. And again, we'll talk about that in another video. Nobody should be surprised that Arron starts sporting a Medusa face tattoo along with that chain, right? The chain symbolizing the burden that he has to carry, the bondage that he has sort of been held down by. The chain symbolizes the bondage, the burden, and the burden of, that he has to carry, exposing the truth, talking about his abuse. This is what we're talking about. When we're talking about the strategy that is behind Arron Carter's recent antics, this is exactly what we're talking about. Not many people are all hip on the myths, on the meanings, the double meanings, and the esoteric knowledge. But the people that are the ones Arron is trying to communicate with through wearing that ridiculous chain, the Medusa tattoo.
Ain't nobody gonna give me a breakdown, backwoods girl kitty cat. That's stupid. I'm good. Hi, I'm good.
Sit back and watch my supposed brother.
Or I'm going to surprise my mom when I get out of rehab. Just analyzing the tattoo a little bit more, the physical attributes, it starts at his temple. This is a special message possibly to the tribal members like Harvey, Lena, etc. It also goes under the single eye and stops as it's approaching his nose. With this tattoo, I think Arron's baiting the cabal. Arron's moves, no matter how bizarre they may seem, example, almost 24-hour live streaming, etc., are designed to serve as proactive measures being implemented in order to get a reactive response response from the group that has the main goal of silencing him. So now, let's talk about Pyro. Maybe the reason he keeps saying it on No Jumper, on Impulsive, despite having pulled it down off the internet, is that he's trolling and threatening the cabal using the lyrics. Like we saw earlier in the podcast clips, Arron claims the song is about his ex. The media did try to spin the story and say that he was threatening Nick through the song, whether that's true or not. After he pulled the song, he then gave up his guns. Probably a smart move considering they were trying to lock him up on a 5150 almost on a nightly basis now. At the time of purchasing the weapons, I don't know if he actually knew how bad the welfare check calls were going to get. And if you don't know what the welfare checks are, they're basically when the cops show up at his house to see if he's suicidal, right? They show up with a straitjacket, ready to fucking, either book him, psych ward or whatever. The guns were probably an obstacle for him getting the message out, because he probably figures he can build the hype more if he's not behind bars or in a psych ward. Another idea is that maybe he bought the guns to actually stir up the controversy, right? To sort of get the media train going, so to speak. Nevertheless, it's ingenious, really, how Arron is sort of dancing around these satanic fucks. He can build more relevancy and media hype, right, if he's not behind bars. So I think that may be one reason he gave up the guns, but he may have publicly purchased them the way he did to get his name out there more. Really, this is the rule, right? No publicity is bad publicity. Bad publicity is good publicity. So originally, I did think that he was lying about the whole story about why he pulled Pyro down. Because of this discrepancy on the Steve Zapp and Andrew Weber owing him money thing, right? He had contradictory statements. But I've sort of rethought this logic, and I've come to another conclusion with the help of my research team. You know who you are. Thank you very much for helping me develop this. He's daring them to come forward and challenge anything that he says publicly, because by doing so, if they take the bait, like I said, it will give him a chance to then publicly expose more and more of the cabal's secrets. At that point, the public has to, sort of realize here, like, why are they only challenging him on the things he's been saying about his success, the things he's been saying about his income? Why are they not challenging to try to disprove what he's been publicly saying about the abuse? As I said before, I think it's likely that Aaron Carter is continuing to make outrageous comments about himself, all while stating clear truths and facts about his family, about the music industry, basically until he's able to spill the entire bag of beans on the Carter family. The exaggerations on his success is a challenge. Remember, it's a challenge to the Carters to stop hiding and to
Jeez, I look terrible there.
to anything that he says. Because once they do respond, he plans to open up a Pandora's box and spill it all. This is the true meaning of Pyro. If you break the lyrics down, this is what that song is really about. If the Carters respond to anything that he says, they will eventually be expected to respond to what he's been publicly stating about them and the abuses and the different things that they've practiced. But again, I'm open to other interpretations, and I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys in the comment section down below. Just to give you guys a little heads up, there's a couple other videos that I do want to work on that I haven't quite put together yet. One of them that I'm interested in making would be basically exposing the fake family structure of the Carters, talking about how that family was manufactured, and talk about the ideas that I've sort of come to, the conclusions that I've come to. I don't actually think Nick and Arron are truly brothers. I think there's even a deeper bond there. So that's one video that I'm thinking about making. Also, maybe a video about Nick's more violent side, doing a whole expose on his sort of dark, satanic, there's a dark satanic side to Nick that we don't usually get to see, and there's evidence for it all over the media stretching back decades. So that's another possible video that I might put together for you guys. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Please do give this video a big fat like. It'd be really cool if you guys could share this around. If you want to support financially, go to paypal.me/CharlesMarlowe. The links are in the description down below for everything. If you want to follow me or support whatever. And I appreciate spending a few minutes, or more like an hour, with you guys today. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications. And as always, this is CMC Broadcasting. I'll see you next time.